ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. Y'all better listen up. This sports talking tough. So if you got a cup, go on and raise it up. I'll raise one with you as we talk about the sports. It's raining stats and rumors. Let us give you the report. This is First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah.
Maybe we're not going to game. What is up, everybody? Long time no see. But hey, look,
We're back.
we've been traveling, work. It's been hectic. Kids, just life in general, and then off season. Off season's kind of out and about. I mean, we are digging into baseball playoffs are about to start up next week with the SEC tournament. Teams are making big moves, and we'll get on that even more so. But we got a little bit of college football to talk today. We'll touch on the NBA a little bit, not too much, just because our NBA guy's not here. And that's, I mean, portal talk is kind of stalled right now because the portal's kind of kids are in it, kids can get out of it. But I think I forgot what coach it was. A Big Ten coach said that they're not going after anybody in the portal because it's all trash. Like, whoa, that's a statement that's kind of crazy for a coach to pretty much say, hey, if you're in the portal, no one really wants you right now. That's
I mean, it's probably not wrong, though, right? I mean, if nobody's picked you up now, you're either not a good player or you got character issues nobody wants to deal with.
very true. Very true. Just still kind of a crazy statement to put out there. But let's talk about baseball. New number one team in the nation, LSU Tigers.
Yeah.
Texas
I think
falls for its second SEC series in a row, which and got swept yet again. First it was Arkansas, now Florida. Just not a good look. So of course they weren't going to set at number one.
Texas has got to figure out how to hit the ball. They're going to be a legitimate threat. I mean, the SEC's loaded in baseball. LSU's ranked number 1, but they're number 3 in the SEC currently. And we talked about it with Texas before. It doesn't matter who's ranked 1. As long as you're in the top 8, you have the exact same path to a national title. You're only trying to be a national seed than a top 8 seed, so you host super regionals. I mean, that's really all this thing boils down to, because once you get to Omaha, the biggest fan bases have the home field advantage there, in which LSU and Texas both would have if they got there. So, like, it's cool to be ranked number 1. It really means nothing. It's no different than Texas being ranked, what are they now, 6th and a lot of stuff. It's no different, except LSU seems to be, if you can enter the tournament ranked number 1 or number 2, you're pretty solidified to be a top 8. If you're 6 to 8, you run the risk of having a bad showing at the tournament, not being it. But, like, in reality, the shit's all the same. It ain't no different.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Texas, I think, is still 2 games up on everybody in the SEC, but still, like, you can't have 2 back-to-back home series losses like that. That's gonna sit there for a while, and it's gonna be ugly. So it's like you got to get it cleaned up. Hopefully, they get it cleaned up this weekend on the road and against a tough OU team. But we'll see how it plays out. Who does LSU have this week?
They got South Carolina, so they go to South Carolina to play Maneri and Crew. I mean, it should be a big one. There's a lot of talk. I mean, LSU baseball fans don't want to talk about, like, it's going to be a big game for Maneri. He's having a really down year. It looks like maybe it's passed him up, which I thought that when he was at LSU. I thought the game had passed him in 2007 or 2018-19. After that Florida World Series loss, I thought that it had passed him then. It just looks like that's showing up. I think they got beat the other weekend like 26-2. Like, they're not very good. In a lot of power rankings, they're dead last in the SEC, or they're right there with Mizzou, who Mizzou has been horrific. I know they beat A&M in a series, but, like, Mizzou's got 2 conference wins. South Carolina's not much better. LSU should be fine. They just got to take care of business. I would expect them, if they win the first 2, I would expect the Sunday game to just kind of be a let's not screw anything up heading to the tournament.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting. I mean, we saw a big downfall from the year starts. Number 1 of A&M just completely falling off the map and not being a contender for pretty much anything. They just got. Did Mizzou sweep them, or did Mizzou just win 2 or 3?
I think they just won 2 or 3. I want to say. I don't think they swept them. I mean, it's a colossal fall for A&M. But, I mean, it's like their whole athletic program in a nutshell. They get right on the precipice of, like, finally getting over the hill, and then they come sliding back down into the valley. And that team's loaded, too. I mean, they got a lot of talent. I think it shows how important a coach is. right? I mean, look at the difference in Texas this year versus last year. Look at the difference in A&M this year versus last year. There's a direct correlation, in my opinion, to coaching and how the team's managed and what's his name? Michael Early? Is that the coach at A&M?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like I think he's done after this year. Like, I don't think you go from being a World Series team to bringing back a top prospect and your best players come back and then, I mean, you're not gonna. I mean, they might sneak into a regional. Their RPI is not horrible. This weekend was horrific for them. They might sneak in if they have a good tournament. I mean, who knows? But I mean, colossal fall.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, before we get into our college football talk, because we do got a good little bit tonight to talk about. How are we feeling about the Saints and the announcement of Carr's retirement?
So I don't think it's a real retirement. I think that's the first thing. I haven't really heard that talked about a lot, which I really thought everybody would be on board with that. I thought that's pretty obvious that this isn't a real, like, I'm stepping away. This is a, how do we both part ways in a mutual thing that benefits both parties where neither of us will look bad and this doesn't turn into the Raiders where we sit you and it turns into a media frenzy. I mean, he clearly wasn't going to play. The Saints clearly drafted a quarterback, the highest they have since Archie Manning. They clearly were moving in a different direction. It just feels like he's retiring and then he'll be back on a team in a year. It feels like Sean Payton did. He'll take a year off and then ta-da, he'll be back on some mediocre team being a mediocre quarterback. Like, that's what he is. I mean, whatever, he's not my quarterback anymore. I hated him while I was, but like, hope he goes somewhere else and finishes his career off well. He'll be one of those guys you look back on in 15 years and you're like, he was pretty good because his stats are going to be nuts, but like, the Saints are in a better spot without him. You can't be worse, right? I mean, he's a 500 quarterback. That's the definition of NFL purgatory, is you get stuck where you pick 10 to 20 and you never get elite talent. You never, you don't get a player like Kelvin Banks, who's an elite left tackle. You don't get that guy. When he's your starter, you end up getting just a run-of-the-mill player at like mid-teens. So it's good for the Saints. It's probably good for him. He wasn't wanted in the city. He knows that shit. Like, that ain't, he didn't want to be here. Nobody wanted him here. It's a mutual parting. I think retirement was the best way for the Saints to recoup money, him to get money, and both parties to look good leaving it. Nobody looks like the crazy, like, you screwed somebody over party.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think there was maybe two or 3 weeks that you actually liked him this season. Like the first 2 or 3 weeks, you were like, "Oh, here we go," and then it was just like,
yeah. If you want me to like you, just be good at football. If you play for the Saints and play for LSU and you want me to like you, be good at football. When you beat the Panthers and the Cowboys and it's a historically good start in the NFL. I think that's what people forget. The Saints were bad this year, but they had a historically good start. They looked like they were on pace to be one of the best teams to ever play the sport. So yeah, I'm all about it. You beat people like 94 to, it was like 94 to 32 was the score margin after 2 weeks, and it's like, yeah, I'm all in on you. We're beating the shit out of people. And then he just went fucking Derek Carr mode, which is what he's been his whole career. And there's the worst people on the planet, in my opinion, are the Derek Carr apologists. The guys who sit there and go like, well, he's ranked. Here's the thing about it. He's ranked whatever. He's top 10 and yeah, he's also got the most losses through 11 years. He's got the most losses from like any player that's played 7 to 11 years. It's like a crazy stat. He's never won a postseason game in his college or NFL career. Never won a bowl game. He's 0-1 in the playoffs, which is enough to be said anyway, that he's only played one playoff game. I mean, he's just not a good quarterback. He's a mediocre. He's just good enough to confuse you. And I'm happy he's gone. I'm all in on Tyler Shuck. If that's who Kellen Moore wants, I'm all about him. Let's get after it.
all right, let's dig into some of the football talk we got. Let's lead with the big one, the dark horses for the Heisman.
Oh.
What guy stands out the more? Give me a couple of guys. Who are your dark horses that are kind of on your watch list?
So I'll knock off some names that are not dark horses. That way, that way our comments don't get blown up, and I'm sure we'll clip this. So, like, Arch Manning's not a dark horse. Nuss is not a dark horse. I would put Cade Klubnik, not a dark horse. And I would probably put Lagway and Sellers kind of in that not dark horse. Maybe we might better touch on them. I would still put them in that deal. Like, if they won it, I don't think people would be stunned.
Yeah.
I think a dark horse for me though would be like a guy like Jeremiah Smith, like a wide receiver, kind of coming out of nowhere. Not out of nowhere, but like doing something that's not really been done a whole lot. I know Devontae Smith did it, but that's a weird year that he did it in. I think Sam Levitt, the quarterback out of Arizona State. I mean, that dude can really spin it. He's tough as shit. He got overshined a little bit by Scattaboo, but like he could really play it. I mean, you watched him play against Texas firsthand. I mean, the kid can sling it. He can play. They're in a conference that they should be one of the better teams in that conference. I think he could have a really big year. And then, then you get into some other guys. Like, I think Ole Miss is always going to have a good offense. And that lefty, what's his name? I can't think of his name now. I just thought about it before we got on.
Oh man,
Damn.
what was his
Like,
name?
and he's a lefty, played baseball. I mean, but he's got a big arm. In a Lane Kiffin offense, you always think a guy like that could have a big year. And then like real dark horses like Bryce Underwood at Michigan, dude. Like, I know he's a freshman, but like he can really spin it. They're gonna better run the ball and block. Sherrone Moore, I mean, that's what he is. He's an O-line guy. Like they're gonna better protect him. They're gonna play good defense. Again, that conference is not insanely tough, up and down. They were good last year with no quarterback play. I think he could have a big year.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So when Cole first suggested this, Cole and Bo both had prior obligations. Cole's got to get to bed because he's waking up at 2 a.m. for his for his gig, and Bo has some other stuff going on, so they couldn't make it. But I really kind of dug into it a little bit about dark horses for the Heisman. Somebody that's not really on anybody's radar is Iowa State's quarterback Rocco Besh. He threw for over 3,000 yards last year. The kid's, and he's coming back. He's got a fairly good offense. I mean, I think the biggest thing he's going to have to deal with is not have an elite run game this year, but the focus is probably going to be on him and throwing the ball, especially having a year like he did last year when he was throwing the ball. So I think he's probably my premier dark horse. Outside of him, I'm I can't think of Penn State's running back's name. What is it? The running back from Penn State. Yes, he's another one that's on there. But to me, it's like, when's the last time a running back won a Heisman?
It's got to be Derrick Henry, one of those guys.
Yeah, it's been a while. Like I can't think of it offhand. So it's kind of hard to lean on a running back position for. It's pretty much a quarterback position for a quarterback's won it for how many years? I mean,
well, Travis Hunter just won it, but that's a different. He's
yeah. That's an anomaly. Just like what's his name? The wide receiver. Yeah, Devontae Smith. Two anomalies. Other than that, it's been quarterbacks for
a while.
A good while.
I think a guy who's a real dark horse, I can see him being really good this year or really bad, and it's going to get some eye rolls out of people watching. Carson Beck. That conference is not good. Their defense was atrocious last year at Miami. I know they addressed it a little bit, but like I think it's similar to the LSU situation. Like, how much better can you be in one off season? I think they're going to have to throw the ball around. We just saw what Cam Ward did there. I think he could have a big year. I mean, I don't think it's crazy to think like Carson Beck can play football. Like he's had good moments, and 12 months ago we were talking he was a Heisman favorite at Georgia. Yeah. I think he's like if you want to pick a dark horse, he feels like a real dark horse, like a guy that's like kind of now forgotten about when they talk about the best quarterbacks in college football. He's not really even in the mix. He could pop out of nowhere and go like, "Here I am. I still can do it." Like that's a guy like that's a guy I think really could shock people, but I also think he could be horrible. I want to get that out there too. Like this is neither outcome would shock me. If he was dog shit or won the Heisman, it all makes sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, are you ready to get into the top 5?
Yeah, you want to go first?
Hey, if you want me to go first, I'll go first.
Actually, let me go first because I got some questions for you about the long that we'll get into.
Perfect, not a problem. Let's roll with it. What are we doing? Are we going? Are we going 1 to 5 or are we going 5 to 1?
I'll go 5 to 1.
Yeah, let's go 5 to 1. That's good.
Yeah. So my number 5 team, and I'll give a little snippet as to why. There's gonna be some common themes here. Outside of 2 of the teams, but 3 of them have a common theme. My number 5 team's gonna be LSU. I think it's Brian Kelly's best roster he's rolling out. Most important thing is I think LSU brings in a top 3 quarterback entering the season in Nuss. It's something this year, especially in the SEC, that there's not a whole lot of proven quarterbacks. It's kind of the thing in the country. And he's a big time player, first round draft pick more than likely. Heisman contender. I think he leads the Heisman odds as we sit today with FanDuel. So I got LSU at 5. I think they're going to be really good. I think the defense is going to improve. They bring back almost pretty much all their best players outside of the O line. From what I've heard, the O line is looking better. It looks like they can run block a little bit better. So I got them at 5. I have Ohio State at 4. And I get, dude, there's a lot of attrition with that roster. I just know they've been good now. They've been a top 5 team for, it feels like 2 decades, right? It might be close to that, honestly. And I know there's a ton of attrition. That team's going to be crazy talented. The defense is still going to be really good. Again, like we talked about with Underwood, that conference is not insanely tough. They've kind of got the Alabama factor outside of the Michigan game. They've kind of got they win games when they get off the bus against a lot of teams, like because they're Ohio State. So I've got them at 4. At 3, I've got Penn State. Similar to LSU, Drew Aller is one of the solidified quarterbacks in the country. You kind of know what you're getting. You know he's a high-level player. They bring back Nick Singleton. They've kind of been a perennial top 10 team under James Franklin, and even before that. I don't know if they get over the hump this year, so I got them at 3 and not any higher. I know some people have them higher. I got them at 3. I think they're really good. They got a great atmosphere. They kind of sniffed it last year for the first time. They really haven't sniffed it. They kind of sniffed it a little bit. I got them at 3. At number 2, I've got Texas. And the only reason I don't have Texas at 1 is because Arch is not proven, in quotes, right? I do have them at 2. With that said, I got them at 2. But again, they do have essentially a new starting quarterback. I know he played a little bit last year. He made some mistakes. He also had some crazy moments. But Texas is sitting there. It feels like they're going to get over the hump at some point, whether it's this year or next. That roster is going to be loaded. The talent acquisition's been bananas. Sark has shown that he's got that he's an elite coach. That the staff is great. The juice is back in Austin. Like the place is buzzing again. I've got Texas at 2, and I'd have them at 1 if Arch had 10 starts under his belt. I probably would have him at 1. And my number 1 team is because I think one, the coach has been there. They were there last year somehow. It's crazy that they were. They got a really talented group, and their quarterback is really good. And I got Clemson at 1. I just think, like, again, a lot of things play out for me. I think their conference is really not good at all. Right? I think Miami's going to be their best competition. Maybe Florida State. You never know with that program. But, like, I think they'll better run through the ACC. Like, I just think and Klubnik, I think, is as good as any quarterback in the country. I got them at 1. I think Dabo knows how to win. And, again, on defense, I think they're going to be really good. So I got them at 1. So it looks a lot similar to a lot of people's lists. I think I'm higher on Clemson than a lot of people are. But, again, like, once we look at this in November, both of us will be so fucking wrong. Second, Michigan will be undefeated. We'll look like fucking idiots.
Yeah. I laughed because I thought how bad we were going to be in our picks that we made last year for the playoffs. Yeah, Chauncey was like, "Dude, what are you talking about?" Like, he's like, "Y'all are like maybe 3 or 4 teams off," and he's like, "Every one of y'all's picks were good." So we'll have to see what our top 5 looks like. I'll go with mine, and then we'll start pinballing questions on each team for you. So at number 5, I got coming in. I got Alabama at 5. I think we're going to see true quarterback play come out of them. They have so many weapons at wide receiver, and their defense is still going to be elite as always. I'm interested to see. This is why I wish Cole was here. Who's going to get that start at quarterback? Because they got 3 quarterbacks that are really battling it out. It looks like Ty Simpson's got the headway, and that's where Cole's leaning to. We'll see if he holds off the young freshman and Keelan Russell, because that dude is a monster.
Stud.
Yes. At number 4, I got, just like you, I got Ohio State. Their weapons that they have are always out there. They're always dangerous. They're going to have good linebacker play like they do every year. My biggest question with Ohio State is going to be the quarterback play. But I think they figure it out, and they're still going to be a force to reckon with. And I mean, week one game is going to say a lot about both them and Texas whenever they meet up. Number three, we're similar on that too. I got Penn State as well. Penn State and Clemson have the most returning players back in the nation.
Yeah,
They're top two teams. They have an elite defense coming again. They did lose Abdul Carter, but they still have an elite defense that's coming out there. Like you said too, they got a quarterback that's a proven winner. He's going to get it done. And their running back, their backfield is something to be feared. I think they're going to be scary in the backfield. Number two, just like you as well, I got Texas at 2 with an elite defense. The reason I don't have them at number 1 is exactly the same reason as yours. I'm a big Arch guy. I love Arch to death, but we've only seen Arch start 2 games. That's it. We've seen him start 2 games. We don't have enough on him to sit here and say, and the hype. If you could win a national championship or the Heisman off of hype, Arch would have won it last year as the backup because of the hype around him. But we haven't seen it. We haven't seen it on the field. We've seen it for 2 games. He looked great in those games. He did throw picks in those games as well, though. So there were spots where he didn't look good. But we'll see how it plays out. And at number 1, we're exact on point again. I went with Clemson as well. I think Clay Coley is going to win the Heisman. I think he's going to. I mean, look how good he played against Texas, an elite secondary, and he was having field days for the majority of the game, and then Texas kind of closed it out. Their defense is going to be good, but I think his quarterback play is going to carry him to another level going into the year. That's my top 25. I'm interested. I'm ready for football to get here. Some interesting ones that I did leave off that are to note because we did. I'm not sure I don't think you named yours, but I'll go ahead and name mine. So my just outside of the top 5 for me is LSU with a senior quarterback at Nuss. I think they're going to focus a lot on the pass game, more so this year than anything else. But they do have a weapon in Caden Durham in the backfield. Their offensive line, like you said, I've heard, they're filling the spots that they need to do, and they're doing everything they got to do. So I got them coming in at my 6. And in 7 is Notre Dame. Jeremiah Love is a dude who's also, I think, his name should be up there with the Heisman. The dude is a stud.
He is.
There's questions about that quarterback position as well. So we'll see how that plays out. But those are my 2 outside of the top 5 that I had. Who are yours?
I had Alabama at 6. My question, my thing with Alabama is like DeBoer's a winner. There's a question mark at quarterback, right? Like sometimes having 2 guys is way worse than having just 1 guy. I'm a believer in that. I want to see what their defense looks like. I'm hesitant on Bama and again, hesitant, and I'm still have them at 6. Like my hesitancy is though, like, I don't want to get confused and thinking about Saban rosters with that uniform. Right? Like, I want to see it again. Last year was a weird year. Like, last year at times they looked like the best team in the country, and then at times they looked like they were not even a ranked team, right? Like, the bowl game, the Vanderbilt game, like, it looks like they got bullied a little bit, and then there's not like the LSU game where they dropped a hammer and they look like the best team in the country. And then like the OU game. So like I just want to see what that roster looks like now when it's not Saban, because like Saban was there, you could pencil him in top 3. And you would never really be wrong with those takes. And my number 17, I've got Oregon. I just think, and Notre Dame's very close for me. They're in my top 10, but I got Oregon there. I think the roster is really good. The quarterback play, I know it's going to be a new quarterback, but like they've done 2 new quarterbacks the last 2 years, and they've been really good. I'm high on Dan Lanning. I think he's a good coach. So I've got them sitting there at 7. I think the Big Ten's up for grabs this year. And then like my real dark horse team, which I don't have them in my top 10, but I really think we could be sitting here in December talking about a team that's ranked in the top 5 is Michigan. Again, with Bryce Underwood. Like that team, like you got to look like, I know the Texas game wasn't a great game. They didn't play Texas horrible. They didn't play them horrible. And then they played really good teams down the stretch, really tough. With literally, they couldn't pass the ball. They didn't have a pass. It's not like it was a bad passing game. They just didn't have one. They couldn't even do it. I think this year they could be staring at 10 or 11 wins. Right? And they got Ohio State's number. So like that one, you feels like it doesn't matter what it looks like. You feel like you favor them. I think Michigan's got a chance to really surprise people, which is crazy considering they just won a national title. we're like 16 months removed from them winning a national title. But
Yeah.
like, it really feels like they can come out of nowhere and be really fucking good.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a question that I got for you. Because none of us, we didn't have them in the top five, but we didn't have them as a dark horses. We do think that they had an elite team at the end of the year. But what do you think happens in South Carolina? What do you think the Gamecocks are going to look like? Because they looked strong as can be in certain games, but the reason they were left out is because they lost games that they should have won, or
Yeah,
they could have won.
they feel like A&M a lot to me. Right? It feels like a team nobody wants to play on a Saturday, but it feels like they're going to come out of this year with 3 or 4 losses. Right? Like, it feels like that A&M thing where it's like, they're talented. They've got really good players. Lenore Sellers has got a chance to win the Heisman. I mean, we talked about him earlier. But like you said, they've Beamer ball is really fun, but Beamer ball seems to lose. They seem to win games they're not supposed to and then lose games they're supposed to win. Right? So I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be a fringe playoff team like they were this year, but I think they finished with 3 or 4 losses. So I didn't have them in my top 5 or top 7, just because I don't think the top end of the roster is as deep as some of the other top end rosters.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of feel the same way, and I feel that Lenore Sellers. I got to see more out of the passing game than we saw this past year. He was a phenomenal athlete. He made plays happen, but I got to see more out of the passing game from him. Here's another question that I got for you. Because I'm not sold on the guy. He did play great in in every one of the games that he played in. Lagway, this kid's coming in with tremendous amounts of hype. He does have the numbers to prove it. What do you think he does in year 2?
I think Lagway's going to be really good. I think Florida finally kind of gets back to being Florida, right? I mean, they've been bad for about a decade. Well, it's about 6 years they've been bad, right? Like, they've had moments, but like you lose to LSU in the swamp the year they were going to be a playoff team, and the COVID year, and it's kind of all been bad since then. So is that 4 years, actually 5 years? I think they get back to it. Their schedule was crazy last year, and they actually outperformed what a lot of people thought they would do. A lot of people had them winning, 2 or 3 games. They were better last year than people thought. Lagway's a really good player. They've got guys, right? They've got dudes. I think the team that we haven't talked about that's more intriguing, that neither of us had, not only not in our top 5, but neither of us had in our top 7, is Georgia. We both could look like idiots because it's crazy that we're betting against Kirby Smart. That's
Yeah,
crazy. I'm just going to
absolutely.
get it out there. I am aware that is lunacy out of us to bet against Kirby Smart. There's no reason for it. He made the playoff last year. He was on the precipice of a national title last year with a backup quarterback. Yeah, that I get it. I don't know. It just feels like that ship is starting to sail a little bit.
Same for me. And not only were they not in our top 5, they weren't even one of our dark horses either.
So
Like,
I probably got him at 10 if I did a full top 10. They're probably at 10.
yeah, they're probably they would definitely be in the top 10 for me too as well. I got to see more out of them. Their last game, they did not look. They weren't what they should have. What Georgia is known to be.
Well, I think the most
And
shocking part of that was Freeman outcoached him. Like,
yeah,
down the stretch, like Kirby kind of got outcoached, which never happens. So that was a little surprising. But like, I mean, if they're 11-1 at the end of the year, I don't think anybody's like, huh? How'd that
yeah,
happen? I think
exactly.
people are more like, what happened if they're 8-4? I think that'll be more of like, what's going on?
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
they're a 3-loss team this year.
Yeah, yeah. And then let's touch on it because it's been all on Twitter. It's been everywhere. The press clippings and everything else about Big Noon Saturday, week 1, Texas, Ohio State. How do you feel on it?
I hate it. I hate Fox's college football coverage. I think ESPN does a better job. I think CBS does a better job. I think Fox is the worst of the big 3. But I also get like that they have the Big Ten deal. Ohio State's coming off a national title. I get that it's there. I also hate that it's gonna be 11 o'clock game. Like, that's the worst part. Is that like the premier matchup? As we said today, I got a feeling they're gonna hype this LSU Clemson game up to make it feel like the premier game. But I mean, you're looking at 2 teams that were last 4 last year. I hate the 11 o'clock slot. It's the worst thing ever. That game should at least be a 2:30 slot, in my opinion. Now it'll be sick once we get there because we'll all be itching so much for college football to come out the gates with a heavy hitter. So I probably won't bitch that morning, but I'll bitch today. Now I'll
Yeah,
also say, and more about that game. I don't think that game tells me a lot of things about either team.
yeah, it's early.
I think that whatever that game looks like, I think both of those teams will look polar opposite by November. Good, better, or worse, or just both better. I don't think that team is an indication of what either team's final result will be.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that we kind of talked about, we talked about it in the podcast text group. Lee Corso's last game. I said that I'm almost positive it's going to be Texas Ohio State, just because the first time he did headgear was Ohio State. So he's probably going to end at the Ohio State game, and he's going to pick Ohio State again. As much as he loved Texas last year and everything else, I think he's going to go out the way he came in, and he's going to put on the whatever the mask. What's his mascot's name? Bucky or whatever.
Yeah,
He's gonna
but,
he's gonna put on
I mean,
the. That's the way I.
if he picks them and then Texas were to or Ohio State ends up winning that game,
Oh, it'd be nuts.
the arch haters are going to be the loudest any group's ever been.
If Arch has a bad game and Texas like survives, they're gonna be like Arch isn't the deal. That like the hype is so. The second Arch makes a mistake, it's gonna be blown up like the biggest thing.
It's we've talked about it before on here in the text. It's unfair the hype he's got. Look, he's really talented, but he's getting talked about by a lot of people like he's the second coming, and that's probably not the case. I've said it. I said it last year. I said it. I'll say it again this year. He's going to have moments where he looks like a new starting quarterback. It's inevitable. He's going to be confused by a defense a couple times. He hasn't gotten the game reps against elite competition that you need him to have to not get confused. Ohio State's defense will probably confuse him a couple times. They'll give him a look that he hasn't seen yet. And I think Sark can coach him better than anybody, but there's nothing like staring it in the face. And it's not ULM, right? Or it's not what Mississippi State was the other team he started against.
Yeah.
You're looking at a team that's a perennial power that just coming off a national title that's going to be loaded with dudes, has one of the best safeties in the country back there. So you're going to be staring down things, and he's probably going to make mistakes. And he's probably good enough to get over them. If it was today, I would pick Texas to win that game. But I also would bet that Arch has moments in that game where you're like, yeah, he didn't see that right. And I think that'll happen throughout the year. And I think it'll get better and better and better and better. And hopefully by the time if Texas makes the playoffs, that's not the case anymore. And he's no longer a rookie. He's not a freshman, but he's still going to be like a rookie player.
Yeah. And then next thing, I mean, week 1, first start at the Horseshoe. That's big.
That place is going to be.
I mean, advantage Texas that it's not a night game. Because.
Yeah. But welcome to college football, dude.
Yeah.
State and ULM, but guess what, bud? This is a different animal. This is this is the ones that they'll have replays on YouTube of.
Yeah, absolutely.
The one that'll be shown in your draft footage in 2 years. But I mean, also, what a day of college football that day is, because then you start the day off with that one, and you finish the day with everything points to it's going to be a top 10 matchup. I can't see LSU or Clemson being ranked outside the top 10. So it looks like a top 5 matchup and a top 10.
Yeah.
And to start the season off. And again, I'll say the same thing. I'm going to be furious if LSU loses. LSU's got to win just for the sake they haven't won since 19. They haven't won an
opening game. Yeah, which is.
But I don't think that. I think that game's similar though. I don't think that game tells a story of either one of those teams what they'll be in November. I don't think it tells the story. But that game is going to talk about a hype. The Texas Ohio State game is going to have hype. They're going to hype up this Clemson and LSU game because the two Heisman frontrunners are facing off at 7:30 at night on ABC. They're going to hype it up. It's going to be. Yeah, it's going to be mega, right?
I think the only reason Ohio State Texas may have a little more hype is because they met in the playoffs. Honestly, other than that, that's probably the big lean towards Texas Ohio State being bigger. Is it's a rematch of the semifinal game. But I think the Clemson LSU game is going to be huge. It's going to be big. Cade Klubnik is, I mean, and Nuss is, oh man, that game's going to be. The more and more I think about it, like I haven't even thought about it as much until you said it just now, and I just the more and more I
Fish
think about
two
it, I'm like,
front
yeah,
runners in here, right? Like that. It's gonna be a crazy deal. It's a crazy deal. It's two teams that on paper look like they're finally back to form. It looks like they're finally back to what they should be. And LSU's got just signed the number one cornerback in the country. They got better on defense this offseason. It looks like they got a linebacker group solved. Clemson looks like they're back to being kind of Clemson-esque on paper. They just made a playoff. They played Texas tough. It's at Clemson, so they're going to play up the Death Valley talk. You're going to see all the last time they played, which is the national title 5 years ago. Like, it's going to be a crazy situation. And again, at the end of the game, one fan base is going to be like, fire the coach. Because again, Dabo and Brian Kelly are kind of in the same boat, right? They're kind of in the same boat with both teams. If it goes bad for Dabo, they're going to be banging going, we got to get rid of him. If it goes bad for LSU, they're going to say, get rid of Brian Kelly. He's not the answer. Like both coaches right now, the propane will be connected and the lighter will be out. It just
yeah.
depends on what's going to get hot that afternoon.
Yeah, and I mean, kind of both coaches had points last year where they were on the same. Like when Clemson was struggling, everybody was wanting Dabo's head, and then he made the playoffs. When Brian Kelly was struggling, people were like, "His seat's hot. His seat's going to be going hot this year." And then the portal changed a lot for him by him getting some of the players that LSU wanted in the portal. Here's a question that me and Cole talked about over the phone. Who is your wide receiver one at LSU?
I think it's a weird question. I don't know if I necessarily have one. I think Nick Anderson's going to be the prototypical one. He's the big body guy that can play. Aaron Anderson's going to be the guy that he made a ton of plays last year. I don't know if they'll necessarily have a one, right? I think they'll have. I think LSU's got 2 or 3 high level twos, right? Because Chris Hilton's a really good player that nobody really talks about because he's been hurt. But when he's healthy, he's a stud. And then you got Nick Anderson, who was really good at Oklahoma. He had some injuries, but he's a really big body, kind of freaky athlete. Aaron Anderson had a great year last year. And then you also have guys like Barry and Brown, who are freak athletes, crazy fast. You got Xavier Thomas, who's a return specialist. And then I think LSU really utilizes, you got Kamori and Pimpton, the tight end, who's like built like LeBron. So I don't know if it's a tough question. I think on
Yeah,
paper, Nick Anderson will be the one. But I
yeah.
think by the end of the year, it could be any mix of those guys. And it could be a deal where like none of the receivers have gaudy numbers, but there's like 4 or 5 with really good numbers.
Yeah. When me and Cole talked about it, we were both kind of on the same page where we thought Aaron Anderson was kind of getting looked over. Like, just because
Well,
he made so many great catches for y'all. And I spoke on him last year with you about it. I was like, this dude is getting it done. Like, he needs to get more. He needs to get the ball more.
he's just not prototypical. He's small. He's a little
Yeah.
guy.
My only knock on Nick Anderson is he sat out a full year. He didn't play at all last year.
Yeah, and I think receiver's one of the easier positions to get back in. It's one of the least physical positions in the sport. And then again, like I would have a lot more concerns if they were relying on him. If it was like the receiving room is empty, there's nobody who produced last year, we need a receiver. But like you do return Aaron Anderson, who was the leading receiver last year, who was the big play guy, who made every big catch it felt like you needed outside of Mason Taylor making them. So like I don't think it falls on him solely. But I do think like he's a physical freak. He's Justin Jefferson-esque physical. I'm not saying he's that type of player, but physically he's in that world, which Aaron Anderson's just simply not. Aaron Anderson is a little guy. He's like 5'8", 180. Like he's a little guy. Like, right? Like he
Yeah.
doesn't look again. Like you wouldn't see Aaron Anderson like on the street and be like, "Oh, he's an SEC number 1 receiver."
Yeah.
But he does put up numbers. Like it wouldn't shock me if he goes for 1,100 yards this year and 10 touchdowns. Like it wouldn't stun me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I would bet more that it's a lot of receivers with like 600 yards.
Yeah. Absolutely. Texas is kind of in the same situation receiver wise. We have DeAndre Moore, I think, who's going to have a sneaky good year. The big name is Ryan Wingo. Everyone's looking for
He's
Ryan Wingo to do something. Yeah, because he's just that he's just that good. I think DeAndre Moore's gonna have some good numbers. Parker Livingston's a guy that you should be on everybody's watch list for Texas in the wide receiver room. I think he's gonna shine and show up whenever he gets opportunities. But I'm interested to see. I can't think of the transfer we got out of the portal from Stanford. I can't think of his name now. The wide receiver,
I know
number two.
I can't
Yeah,
name his.
I can't think of his name either. But I'm interested to see what he does. He may come in and he may have a year like Golden did. I mean, Golden came in and stole the show when it was supposed to be Isaiah Bond's wide receiver room.
Yeah.
And Golden came up and made all the big plays when it needed him to. So we'll see how
One
it
of the
plays out.
by the way, I'm gonna
What's
pat
that?
myself. One of the all-time takes on Isaiah Bond. I said when you got him, I was like, dude, the highlight tape is high, the low light tape is low, and that's what he was at Texas. It would be like he make a play and you're like, whoa, and then he drop one and you're like, how the fuck you drop that ball?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you did call it. You 100% called it. He only had, I think, it was either him or Golden. I have to look into it. One of them only had 2 drops all year. It was probably Golden, just because Golden's
Well,
like
the,
was
the
the
thing
darling of everything.
the thing with Bond, which is why he didn't get drafted, was it's incredible to be that talented and he just gets lost in games. He just he did that at Alabama though, and Cole would tell you the same thing if he was on here. He's a freak player, like physically he's crazy gifted, but he just gets lost. And you can watch a game and be like, wait, the third quarter I haven't heard his name or seen him. I don't know where. How are you that talented at football and you just go missing?
Yeah,
Like literally put up a
yeah,
sign, put him on a milk carton. He just goes away.
yeah. I mean, he had some like highlight plays that everyone gawked about and loved, but he also had some pretty bad plays. I mean, the Ohio State game, there was a pick that he could have knocked down that he kind of just gave. Yeah.
Remember the Georgia the pick that Quinn threw. Bond doesn't even make an attempt to become a defender. He just kind of just falls down.
It was a Georgia game. It wasn't the Ohio State game. It was a
That's
Georgia game. But yeah, he had a horrible drop in the Ohio State game where he was like wide open on a cut and he dropped it and he's just like,
yeah, but that's the thing with him. Now let me ask you this about Texas. I've been wanting to ask you this for a minute.
okay.
Do you think Arch gets Texas over the hump? Because right now they're right at the water. Do you think he gets them into the water?
I think if Texas doesn't win a national championship or play for one this year, then next year will probably be the year that Texas wins it. I think this year Texas is on the because I mean you got 2 years in a row that you're in the semifinals. You have everything going your way and everything else. You've rebuilt your roster the way that you wanted it. It's your kids. Um, I think it's put up or shut up time for Sark. I think he's doing all the right things. He did all the right things in the portal as well. And the way that Texas uses the portal, um, and they used it last year as well. Well, last year they got bigger names out of the portal, but it seems like they feel depth more than anything else. They felt, and then they developed that depth. They did it with the defensive line last year. They did it. They're looks like they're set up to do it again this year. They did it with wide receiver last year. Looks like they're doing it again this year. Another thing that we didn't touch on before I finish the thing that I meant to, Bama not losing a single kid off the roster in the spring portal whatsoever. That's
Impressive, right? I think they lost a walk-on or something, but they didn't lose any. I think that was the deal. I think they lost because whatever that dude that puts out that clip that was like the portal losers, and he had you and Bama in the list, and I remember being Cole talking about it, being like, I don't think either of us have lost a scholarship player. Like LSU lost John Emery, but like he was asked to leave. He didn't like up and go like I'm out of here. It was like we no longer want you on the team. He was pushed out. So like it's impressive. I think the spring portal. I think if you're on a team that you think is going to be good, I don't think a lot of teams lose a lot of guys because guys are kind of committed. Like what did Texas lose in the spring?
I think they lost like 3 or 4 guys total.
Yeah, like
and then some of them were similar to the John Emery thing. Our kicker, we lost which is crazier. The leading scorer in Texas history was our kicker, but you got to make those big ones. You got to make them.
You look like he had money on the game against Arizona State. I mean, he did everything possible to lose. He did everything a human being could do to lose that game. It was like, how can I help us lose? And he did that. I mean, it was And when he kicked the second, it was like, there's no way he can make a field goal. He's not trying to now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he was kind of pushed out, and we brought the Texas State kicker in, Mason Shipley. So we'll see how that plays out. Other than that, we lost a few guys that were kind of buried on the depth chart that you didn't see. We lost a punter. We did lose a wide receiver, but I think he was dismissed from the team before it was hey, he's entering the portal.
Yeah, I mean, that's. Oh, I'll touch on something. Cole had brought it up a couple weeks ago. We haven't recorded in a minute. About his concern with LSU would be how many starters are going to be portal players. I think the number's a little bit lower. I want to say through around like 12 or 13. I think the number's a little lower. On offense, I don't think it'll be any outside of Nick Anderson. Right? And again, at receiver, I think it's kind of like a freshman. Like, receivers can kind of show up and, like, they just got to be better than the guy across from them early. It's not like a pivotal. So I think that's fine. And then on defense, like, LSU's going to start a lot of transfers. Right? They're going to start a lot. So you're going to have 2 edge players, more than likely, that are transfers. Your cornerback room is more than likely going to be a freshman and a transfer with some other guys as depth pieces that have been on the roster. And your safety play looks like it's 100% going to be transfer players. Your linebacking room looks like it's going to be 100% guys you retain. It looks like it's going to be Perkins, Weeks, the other Weeks brother, Deshaun Keys. Like, it looks like that room. But my thing would be this. I think Blake Baker can coach defense. I think LSU improved on defense last year significantly from the year prior. And I think the thing I said all year last year was, like, they just don't have the dudes. And I think they did a good job of bringing in dudes who are better players. Patrick Payton from Florida State's a better player. The safety play is really should be much improved. I mean, LSU safety play last year was the worst I'd ever seen it at the program. And I don't think that was coaching. I think that was strictly, like, they just didn't have guys who were talented enough to play at a high level in the SEC. They had guys that just weren't quick enough, weren't athletic enough, didn't have the right instincts. I think this year they do. So, yeah, they do start a lot. It's going to be probably 7 on defense. So it'll probably be 8 total, right? And then the kick returner, maybe. But, again, kick returner, like, I don't count that as a starting position in terms of, like, what does it affect your team? Like, you kind of just throw an elite athlete. You throw a freak back there and hope you can get a couple extra yards. On offense, though, LSU, I know they brought in, everybody's going to think, they brought in Braylon, I can't think of his last name, Braylon Moore from Virginia Tech. It looked like he was going to be the center. And spring all the first team reps, he did not get them. And then they brought in a couple other guys, but it looks like the whole O-line was going to be returning players. And then they brought in some tight ends, right? You brought in the kid from Donovan Green. You brought him in from A&M. You brought in Bauer Sharp. But Kamorian Pimpton's going to be the starter in that room.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's portal players, but, like, LSU's defense needed better dudes. They wouldn't get better dudes. And on offense, it looks like it's going to be all returners outside of one wide receiver, which is probably going to be the same at a lot of schools, right? Like, I want to say Alabama might be in the same boat. I think they might have one starter on offense that'll be a transfer player. So that's pretty normal. So I get it. I think it's a fair thing because on defense, like, it's either it pans out or it doesn't. But it's not a massive concern for me because the defense can't be worse, right? Like, it can only continue to get better as you get better players. And hopefully they put Perkins in the right place. I think that's a big thing on this defense. If they get him, it'll be good.
Yeah, that was a big question that I'm still wondering what they're going to do with Perkins. We'll see how it plays out. Before we get off here, has Emory found a home yet, or is he still in the portal?
Yeah, he's UTSA.
Okay,
He's on.
Did not see him going to a smaller school like that, but dude, he'll succeed. He's got Jeff Traylor as a head coach, who is a hell of a coach. Who I'm surprised a big school hasn't sold away yet. We'll probably see some good numbers out of him.
I think he'll have a great year. I think he didn't go to a bigger school because he's got a lot of tread on the tires. There's a big injury. His medical list is long. It's an issue. And then again, there's been some up and down moments at LSU, right? There's been some off the field stuff. I'm a believer that all that's fixed and that he's a great guy. And everything you hear out of it's that he's an incredible guy. But on paper, there were some problems with school and whatnot. Again, now he's like in his 7th year of college football. That's probably not a problem anymore. He clearly can hang out in college. Like, he's clearly done it now. But again, I think the tread and the injury list is what turned teams who are big would turn Power 5 teams off. Where like I would probably rather take a shot on a young guy.
Gotcha.
It
Gotcha.
makes sense to me though.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Look, that's all we got for y'all. You got anything else for them, Buddha?
No, I guess we'll see y'all Friday. I guess we're gonna go live Friday, huh?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We will be live Friday as we normally are, and then we'll get more regular with these. I'll finally be back home, and we'll get on a regular schedule to get these out. Other than that, that's all we got for y'all. We'll see y'all on the next one. Have a good one.
See ya.
Hug 'em.
First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. Y'all better listen up. This sports talk talking tough. So if you got a cup, go on and raise it up. I'll raise one with you as we talk about the sports. It's raining stats and rumors. Let us give you the report. This is First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. First 12 ounces.